Consider for a moment those times in your life when you felt lost, uncertain, not knowing which path to take or what action to pursue. Perhaps you're in such a situation right now. The world around you may seem chaotic, options may appear limited, and the future uncertain. But I say unto you, in these very moments of apparent confusion and indecision lies your greatest opportunity for growth and manifestation. But what is this that you must do when you don't know what to do? It is not a matter of external action or logical analysis. It is a state of consciousness, a shift in your very being that aligns you with the creative power of the universe. It is about recognizing that the answer, the guidance, the path forward is already within you, waiting to be imagined into being. Let us delve deeper into this profound truth. Your outer world, every experience you have, every circumstance you encounter, is nothing more than a reflection of your inner world, your consciousness. It is a mirror faithfully reflecting back to you the sum total of your beliefs, assumptions, and most importantly, your imaginal acts. When you understand this, truly understand it, you realize that by carefully choosing and vividly imagining a desired state, even in the face of uncertainty, you are actively creating a new reality that will unfold in your experience. This understanding is crucial, for it shifts the entire paradigm of how you approach moments of uncertainty. No longer are you a helpless being at the mercy of external circumstances, desperately seeking guidance from the outside world. You become the active creator of your reality, knowing that as you imagine and feel a desired state, the universe must rearrange itself to match this new inner assumption, providing the guidance and clarity you seek. But how, you may ask, can one tap into this inner wisdom when the outer world seems so chaotic and uncertain? The answer lies in the creative power of your wonderful human imagination, combined with the intensity of your feeling and belief. For your imagination is not a mere fantasy maker, and your feelings are not mere reactions to external stimuli. Together, they form the very workshop in which reality is forged. Let us take a moment to truly understand this. Your subconscious mind, which is one with the universal creative force, does not distinguish between what you vividly imagine and feel as true and what you actually experience in the outer world. It accepts as true whatever you feel to be true in your imaginal acts. And once it accepts an idea as true, it proceeds to bring it into manifestation in your physical reality, regardless of how uncertain or impossible the situation may seem to your rational mind. So when you find yourself in a moment of confusion, not knowing what to do, this is what you must do. Turn within to your imagination. Create a scene that implies your desired outcome has already been realized. Feel the relief, the clarity, the certain knowing the perfect path has been revealed to you. Live in this imaginal act as though it were your physical reality. This, my dear listeners, is the essence of what to do when you don't know what to do. It is about recognizing that the power to shape your reality, to find clarity in confusion, lies within you, waiting to be expressed through your conscious imaginal acts. It is about understanding that your outer world of uncertainty is nothing more than a reflection of your inner conversations and imaginal acts, which can be radically altered by assuming a new state in imagination. Consider the biblical phrase, "Be still and know that I am God." This is not a mere poetic expression or a call for passive acceptance. It is a statement of cosmic law, an invitation to recognize the power of your inner being. When you become still, when you quiet the chatter of your worried mind and enter into your imagination, you are connecting with the God presence within you, the source of all wisdom and guidance. But let me be clear, this turning within, this use of your imagination in moments of uncertainty is not about escapism or denial of your current circumstances. It is about a total immersion in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, of the perfect solution already realized. When you truly embody this practice, you naturally assume the thoughts, feelings, and inner conversations of the person who has already received the guidance they seek. You go to sleep not as the person bound by uncertainty and confusion, but as the person who is clear, confident, moving purposefully towards their desired outcome. Let us explore this further with an example. Imagine a person facing a critical decision in their life, perhaps choosing between two career paths, unsure of which to pursue. Their outer reality shows no clear signs of which path to take. Now imagine this person deciding to turn within to their imagination. As they quiet their mind, they create a scene that implies they have already made the perfect choice and are thriving in their new career. They feel the satisfaction, the certainty, the joy of knowing they are on the right path. They allow this feeling to permeate every cell of their being. They live in this imaginal act not just for a moment, but they return to it again and again, especially as they drift off to sleep at night. When they awaken, something has shifted. They may not see immediate external changes in their circumstances, but internally, they are no longer the same person. They have experienced the reality of clarity and certainty, and this new self-concept begins to reshape their outer world. In the days and weeks that follow, they find themselves naturally drawn to information, people, and opportunities related to one of the career paths. They approach the decision-making process with a newfound sense of calm and confidence. Ideas and insights that were previously obscured suddenly become clear. And as they continue to live from this state of clarity and certainty in their imagination, their outer world begins to reflect this inner knowing. The perfect path reveals itself, often in ways they could never have logically planned or anticipated. This principle applies to every aspect of your life where you find yourself uncertain or not knowing what to do. Whether you're facing a relationship challenge, a health concern, a financial decision, or any other situation that leaves you feeling lost, the key is to first assume the state of clarity and knowing in your imagination. Feel the reality of having perfect guidance, of knowing exactly what to do. Live in that state, in your imagination, and knowing that as you do so, you are planting a seed in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind that must grow into your outer reality. Now, I can hear some of you thinking, but Neville, how can simply imagining a solution really provide guidance when I truly don't know what to do? Surely I need to gather more information or seek advice from others. And to this I say external information and advice can certainly play a role, but they are secondary to the wisdom that comes from within. When you turn to your imagination first, when you assume the state of clarity and knowing, you align yourself with infinite intelligence. From this aligned state, you will be guided to the right information, the right people, the right circumstances that will support your desired outcome. Remember, the outer world is dead. It has no life of its own. It is your consciousness that gives life to your experiences. When you remain in a state of confusion and uncertainty, constantly seeking answers outside yourself, you are breathing life into a reality that perpetuates that confusion. But when you turn within, when you assume the state of clarity, and knowing in your imagination, you set in motion a series of events that must culminate in the outer expression of this new inner reality. This, my dear friends, is the true secret to knowing what to do when you don't know what to do. It is about aligning your inner conversations and imaginal acts with the state of clarity and guidance, recognizing that this desired reality is seeking expression through you and allowing it to flow into your experience through the power of your imagination and unwavering belief. But let me warn you, this shift in consciousness, This practice of turning within when faced with uncertainty is not always an easy task. The old habits of worry, of seeking answers outside yourself, of feeling lost and confused are deeply ingrained in our collective consciousness. As you embark on this new way of approaching uncertainty, you may find resistance arising within you. Doubts may creep in. Old thought patterns may try to reassert themselves. When this happens, do not fight against these thoughts and feelings. Simply observe them, acknowledge them, and then gently return to your imaginal act of clarity and knowing. For the war is not won by battling against what you don't want, but by persistently embodying what you do want. This persistence, this unwavering commitment to living in a state of clarity and guidance in your imagination, even in the face of outer uncertainty, is what allows you to truly transform your reality. Think of it like tuning a radio. When you're trying to listen to a particular station, you don't focus on eliminating all the other stations. You simply tune into the frequency you desire. In the same way, you don't need to fight against your chaos of confusion or forcefully push away thoughts of uncertainty. You simply need to tune yourself to the frequency of clarity and guidance, to align your entire consciousness with the reality where you know exactly what to do. This tuning is done through your imagination and your ability to generate feeling states. Your imagination is the dial that allows you to tune into different frequencies of experience. As you use your imagination to fully embody the state of clarity and knowing, as you feel the reality of being divinely guided, you are tuning yourself to that frequency, allowing the corresponding experiences to flow into your life. But remember, my friends, this is not a one-time event. Turning within and using your imagination when you don't know what to do is a practice, a way of life. It's a constant choice to maintain this new approach to uncertainty, regardless of appearances. Just as you wouldn't expect to stay in shape by exercising once, you cannot expect to master this practice by using it once. This is about persistently turning within, about maintaining the consciousness of clarity and divine guiding in and day out until it becomes your new normal. As you do this, you will find that your perception of uncertainty begins to shift. What once seemed like confusing, chaotic situations now appear as opportunities for growth and new possibilities. Challenges become stepping stones to greater understanding. You begin to see yourself as the empowered being you truly are, knowing that divine guidance is always available to you through your imagination. Now some of you may be wondering, but Neville, how can I maintain this practice of turning within when my outer world still seems uncertain? How can I persist in feeling clarity and guidance when circumstances seem to contradict it? And to this I say, your imagination infused with feeling is more powerful than any circumstance. Consider for a moment, have you ever been deeply moved by a story, whether in a book or a movie? In those moments, were you not feeling real emotions based on imaginary events? Your feelings were real, even though the events were not happening in your physical reality. This is the power you must harness when you turn within in moments of uncertainty. You must use your imagination to create scenarios that evoke the feelings associated with having perfect clarity and guidance. Imagine how you would feel if you knew with absolute certainty the perfect path to take. Feel the relief, the confidence, the sense of peace that would come with this knowing. Feel these states as vividly and as consistently as you can. The key is to make your imaginal act as real to you as possible. Engage all your senses. Feel the sensations in your body associated with clarity and confidence. Hear the words of wisdom that come from within. See yourself moving through your life with purpose and direction. Make it so real that your rational mind cannot distinguish between this inner experience and physical reality. But here's a crucial point, my friends. The goal is not to imagine specific solutions or outcomes. The goal is to capture the essence of the feeling state associated with having divine guidance and knowing exactly what to do. For it is this feeling state that is the true attractor of your experiences. Let me illustrate this with an example. Instead of trying to imagine the specific details of a solution to a solve, capture the feeling essence of being divinely guided. Imagine a warm, comforting light filling your being, bringing with it a sense of absolute knowing. Feel the peace, the certainty, the alignment that comes with this state. See yourself moving through your day with an unshakable confidence, knowing that each step you take is divinely guided. By focusing on the feeling essence rather than specific outcomes, you allow the universe to bring your solution to you in ways that might far exceed your specific imaginings. You open yourself to possibilities beyond what your current mindset can conceive. This is the true art of knowing what to do when you don't know what to do. It's not about forcing yourself to come up with a solution through sheer willpower. It's about aligning yourself with the truth of your divine nature, your oneness with the creative power of the universe. It's about living each day from the state of being divinely guided regardless of outer appearances. As you practice this, you may find that your outer world begins to shift in subtle ways. Perhaps you start to notice more synchronicities in your life, or you find yourself naturally drawn to information or people that provide the guidance you seek, or solutions to problems that once seemed impossible begin to present themselves effortlessly. These are all signs that your inner shift, brought about by turning within, is creating ripples in your outer reality. Don't discount these small changes. Celebrate them. See them as confirmation that the law is working, that your imaginal acts are taking root. But don't become attached to them or anxiously look for them. Simply acknowledge them with gratitude and continue to live from the state of divine guidance in your imagination. As you persist in this practice, larger changes will begin to manifest. You may find yourself navigating complex situations with ease and grace. You may notice that decisions that once paralyzed you with uncertainty now become clear and obvious. You may achieve outcomes you once thought impossible with a sense of effortless alignment. And as you continue to turn within and live from the state of divine guidance, you'll discover that life becomes an exciting adventure of ever-unfolding clarity and purpose. But remember, the outer manifestation is not the goal. The goal is the state of consciousness from which all desired experiences naturally flow. This is a crucial point, my friends. When you're truly embodying the state of being divinely guided, when you're fully living from this consciousness, you no longer need external circumstances to confirm your state. You're already whole, already complete in your knowing that you are always divinely guided. And paradoxically, it's in this state of inner assurance that you're most likely to experience a life where you always know exactly what to do. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Neville, what about action? Don't we need to do things in the physical world to find solutions and make decisions? And to this I say, yes, action is part of the process. But it's inspired action, not anxious doing. When you're consistently turning within and living from the state of divine guidance, ideas and opportunities will naturally present themselves to you. You'll feel inspired to take certain actions, to move in certain directions. These actions won't feel like struggle or effort. They'll feel natural, joyful, almost effortless. This is the difference between trying to figure things out through sheer mental effort and allowing solutions to unfold naturally. When you're trying to force clarity, actions feel stressful, born out of fear and uncertainty. When you're living from the consciousness of divine guidance, actions flow naturally from your aligned state, guided by an inner wisdom that knows exactly what steps to take. Consider the example of a river flowing to the sea. The river doesn't strain to find its path. It doesn't force its way through obstacles. It simply flows, naturally finding the path of least resistance. You, my dear listeners, are no different. When you align yourself with the consciousness of divine guidance through your imagination, you allow your life to unfold naturally and beautifully, always knowing the perfect steps to take. But let me be clear, this state of allowing is not passive. It requires an active use of your imagination, a deliberate and focused embodiment of the state of being divinely guided. It requires faith, not blind faith in external circumstances, but faith in the creative power of your consciousness and your ability to always know what to do through your connection with infinite intelligence. This faith is not about believing that you'll figure things out someday in the future. It's about knowing that you are divinely guided now in this very moment, and that your outer world must inevitably conform to this new inner reality. As you cultivate this faith, as you persist in turning within and living from the state of divine guidance, you'll begin to see evidence of always knowing what to do in your outer world. These signs may start small, an unexpected insight that solves a problem, a chance encounter that provides exactly the information you need, a sudden clarity about a decision you've been struggling with. Do not discount these signs, no matter how small they may seem, for they are confirmation that your inner world, shaped by your imaginal acts, is indeed shaping your outer reality. They are breadcrumbs leading you to the full realization of a life where you always know is now exactly what to do, even in the face of apparent uncertainty. As we near the conclusion of our discussion, I want to address a common concern that arises when people first encounter this teaching. Many worry that turning within and relying on their imagination for guidance might somehow disconnect them from reality or lead to impractical decisions. But I assure you, my friends, the opposite is true. When you truly understand the principle of turning within for guidance, you realize that you are not separate from reality. You are the creator of your reality. As you elevate your own consciousness by connecting with the divine guidance within, you are elevating your ability to navigate the physical world with grace and wisdom.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've wanted many things in my life that I haven't received. And to that I say, my dear friends, you have indeed received exactly what you wanted, but perhaps not in the way you expected. You see, the universe operates on a principle so simple, yet so profound, that many of us overlook it entirely. This principle is the law of assumption. It states that your outer world is a perfect reflection of your inner world. In other words, what you experience in your physical reality is a direct manifestation of your dominant thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. Let us delve deeper into this concept. Imagine, if you will, that your consciousness is like a garden. The thoughts you think, the emotions you feel, the beliefs you hold, these are the seeds you plant in this garden. And just as surely as an acorn grows into an oak tree, these mental seeds grow into the experiences of your life. Now you might be thinking, but Neville, I've had negative experiences that I certainly didn't want. And to that I would say, look closer, my friend. Look at the thoughts and feelings you were harboring before and during those experiences. Were you not perhaps expecting the worst? Were you not, on some level, assuming that things would go wrong? You see, the human mind is a powerful thing. It doesn't distinguish between what you want and what you don't want. It simply takes your dominant thoughts and feelings and brings them into manifestation. This is why it's crucial to be mindful of what you're focusing on, what you're assuming to be true. Consider for a moment the story of a man I once knew. He was constantly worried about losing his job. Day in and day out, he fretted about it, imagined worst-case scenarios, and lived in a state of perpetual anxiety. And do you know what happened? He lost his job. Now you might say, see, Neville, he got what he didn't want. But I say to you, he got exactly what he was focusing on, exactly what he was assuming would happen. This, my friends, is the crux of the matter. You always get what you want, because what you truly want is determined not by your surface-level desires, but by your deepest assumptions about yourself and the world around you. Let's explore this further. Think about a time in your life when you achieved something you had long desired. Perhaps it was a promotion at work, a loving relationship, or a personal accomplishment. Now consider your state of mind leading up to that achievement. Chances are, you were confident. You believed it was possible. You could see yourself already in possession of your desire. This, dear friends, is the secret. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, when you live from the end as if your desire has already been realized, you align yourself with the creative power of the universe. You plant the seed of your desire in the fertile soil of your imagination. And the universe, in its infinite wisdom and power, brings it into manifestation. But here's where many people stumble. They say they want something, but their dominant thoughts and feelings tell a different story. They say they want financial abundance, but they constantly worry about money. They say they want a loving relationship, but they harbor beliefs about being unworthy of love. They say they want success, but they fear failure. In each of these cases, what do you think these individuals will receive? That's right. Exactly what they're predominantly thinking and feeling. They will experience financial struggle, loneliness, and setbacks. Not because the universe is cruel or because they're unlucky, but because they're getting precisely what they're assuming to be true. Now, I can hear some of you thinking, but Neville, how can I control my thoughts and feelings? How can I assume something to be true when my current reality shows me the opposite? And to that I say, my dear friends, this is where the true work begins. This is where you must exercise the divine gift of your imagination. You see, your imagination is not some frivolous fantasy maker. It is the very workshop wherein you forge the life you desire. When you use your imagination to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are engaging in the highest form of creative. You are declaring to the universe, this is who I am. This is what I accept as true. Let me give you an example. Suppose you desire financial abundance, but your current reality is one of lack. The conventional approach would be to worry, to stress, to focus on the absence of money. But what does that create? More lack, more struggle, more of the very thing you don't want. Instead, I urge you to do this. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And now imagine yourself as you would be if you were already financially abundant. How would you feel? How would you carry yourself? What thoughts would occupy your mind? Would you worry about bills, or would you feel a sense of ease and security? As you engage in this exercise, you'll notice something remarkable. Your body will begin to respond as if what you're imagining is actually true. You might feel a sense of relief, of joy, of freedom. This, my friends, is the feeling of your wish fulfilled. And when you can capture and maintain this feeling, you set in motion the forces that will bring your desire into physical manifestation. It's a crucial point. You must persist in this assumption. You must live from this new state of consciousness consistently. It's not enough to do this exercise once and then return to your old patterns of thought and feeling. You must make this new assumption your dwelling place. Now, some of you might be wondering, but Neville, what about action? Don't we need to do something to achieve our goals? And to that I say, of course, action is important. But understand this inspired action flows naturally from your assumed state of consciousness. When you truly assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you'll find yourself naturally taking actions aligned with that state. The financially abundant version of you will make different decisions, see different opportunities, and take different actions than the version of you struggling with lack. This is why I often say that changing your conception of yourself is the key to changing your world. When you change who you believe yourself to be, everything else changes to match that new self-concept. Let's consider another example. Imagine a person who wants to be in a loving relationship. They might go on dates, join dating apps, and actively seek a partner. But if their dominant assumption is that they're unlovable, or that good relationships are hard to come by, what do you think their experience will be? That's right. They'll encounter experiences that confirm their assumption. They might attract partners who don't appreciate them, or find that their relationships always seem to fall apart. Now imagine if the same person were to change their assumption. Imagine if they were to live from the state of being deeply loved and appreciated. How would that change their approach to dating? How would it change the energy they put out into the world? How would it change the way they interact with potential partners? You see, when you assume the state of being loved, you naturally become more open, more confident, more attractive. You send out a different vibration into the universe, and the universe responds in kind. This is how you always get what you want, by becoming it first in your imagination. But let me be clear. This is not about forcing outcomes or manipulating others. This is about aligning yourself with the truth of who you really are. For in reality, you're not separate from the universe. You are an individualized expression of the one creative power that underlies all of existence. When you truly grasp this truth, when you understand that your consciousness is the one and only reality, you'll see that there is no limit to what you can be, do, or have. For the only limits that exist are those you accept in your own mind. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but Neville, what about other people? Don't they have a say in what happens in my life? And to that I say, of course, they do, but only to the extent that you allow them to in your consciousness. You see, everyone in your world is you pushed out. They play the parts that you knowingly or unknowingly have assigned to them through your assumptions. If you assume that people are kind and helpful, you'll encounter kindness and help wherever you go. If you assume that the world is a hostile place, you'll find evidence of that hostility all around you. This is why it's so crucial to be mindful of your assumptions about others. When you change your conception of someone, you change how they show up in your experience. This is not about controlling others, but about taking responsibility for your own consciousness and the reality it creates. Let me share with you a personal experience that illustrates this principle. Many years ago, I had a colleague who I found difficult to work with. I assumed he was uncooperative and hostile towards me. And guess what? Every interaction we had seemed to confirm this assumption. But then I decided to apply the principle we're discussing today. I began to imagine this colleague as friendly, supportive, and easy to work with. I would close my eyes and create scenes in my imagination where we were working together harmoniously, where he was praising my work and offering his assistance. At first, nothing seemed to change in our outer interactions. But I persisted in my new assumption. I lived from the state of having a great working relationship with this person. And gradually, miraculously, things began to shift. He became more friendly towards me. He started to offer his help on projects. Our interactions became pleasant and productive. Now, did I change this person? No. What I changed was my assumption about him. And in doing so, I changed how he showed up in my experience. This, my friends, is the power you wield in every moment of your existence. But let's take this principle even further. It doesn't just apply to your interactions with others or to specific goals you want to achieve. It applies to your entire experience of life itself. You see, your fundamental assumptions about the nature of reality shape everything you experience. If you assume that life is hard, that good things are rare, that you have to struggle to get ahead, guess what kind of life you'll experience? That's right. One of hardship, scarcity, and struggle. But what if you were to assume that life is inherently good, that the universe is always working in your favor, that abundance is your natural state? Can you imagine how that would transform your experience? This, my dear friends, is the ultimate secret to always getting what you want. It's not about manipulating external circumstances. It's about aligning your consciousness with the truth of your being, which is one of infinite potential, boundless creativity, and limitless love. When you live from this state of consciousness, you'll find that life begins to flow effortlessly. Opportunities will appear as if by magic. The right people will come into your life at just the right time. Challenges will be transformed into stepping stones for growth. But remember, this is not about passively waiting for good things to come to you. It's about actively assuming the state of consciousness that aligns with your desires. It's about living from the end, feeling the reality of your wish fulfilled, and allowing the universe to rearrange itself accordingly. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but Neville, this all sounds too good to be true. Surely there must be some catch. And to that I say, the only catch is your own limiting beliefs. The only obstacle is your own doubt and disbelief. You see, the universe doesn't judge. It doesn't decide whether you deserve something or not. It simply responds to your dominant state of consciousness. If you can accept something as true in your imagination, the universe must provide you with experiences that match that acceptance. This is why faith is so crucial. Not blind faith in some external power, but faith in the creative power of your own consciousness. Faith that what you can conceive and believe you can achieve. But here's where many people stumble. They try this principle once or twice, and when they don't see immediate results, they give up. They fall back into their old patterns of thought and feeling, and then wonder why nothing has changed. My friends, creation is finished. The reality you desire already exists in the realm of infinite possibilities. Your job is not to make it happen, but to align your consciousness with it so completely that it has no choice but to manifest in your physical experience. This requires persistence. It requires living from your desired state consistently, even when your senses tell you otherwise. It requires trusting the process, knowing that the seed you've planted in your imagination must, by universal law, grow into your physical reality. Let me give you another example to illustrate this point. Imagine a young woman who dreams of becoming a successful author. She writes diligently but struggles to get published. Rejection letters pile up and she begins to doubt her abilities. Now, if she were to focus on these rejections, if she were to accept the assumption that success is out of her reach, what do you think her experience would be? That's right. More struggle, more rejection, more evidence to support her assumption of failure. But what if, instead, she were to assume the state of being a successful author? What if, every night before sleep, she were to imagine holding her published book in her hands? What if she were to feel the joy of receiving glowing reviews, of seeing her book on bestseller lists, of inspiring readers with her words? If she were to persist in this assumption, living each day from the state of being a successful author, how would that change her approach to writing? How would it change the energy she puts into her work? How would it change the opportunities she notices and acts upon? You see, when you assume the state of your wish fulfilled, you align yourself with the version of you who has already achieved that desire. You begin to think, feel, and act as that version of you would. And in doing so, you naturally take inspired actions that lead to the manifestation of your desire. This, my friends, is how you always get what you want. Not by forcing, not by struggling, not by worrying about how it will happen, but by assuming the state of already having it, by living from that state consistently, and by allowing the universe to bring it into manifestation in its own perfect timing. Now, I want to address something that often comes up when I share these teachings. Some people worry that if everyone could have whatever they wanted, the world would fall into chaos. They fear that people would use this power for selfish or harmful purposes. But here's the beautiful truth. When you truly align with your highest self, when you tap into the creative power of the universe, your desires naturally align with the highest good of all. You see, at our core, we are all expressions of the same divine consciousness. And that consciousness is love itself. So when you operate from this level of awareness, you don't desire things that would harm others or disrupt the harmony of the universe. Instead, you desire to express your unique gift, to create beauty, to serve others, to experience joy and share that joy with the world. This is why I often say that your desire is God's desire for you. The desires that spring from your true self are not random or capricious. They are the universe's way of expressing itself through you, of expanding and evolving through your unique experiences. So never feel guilty about your desires. Never think that wanting something is selfish or wrong. Your desires are sacred. They are the call of your highest self, urging you to grow, to expand, to become more of who you truly are. But here's an important point. See, sometimes what you think you want on a surface level is not what you truly desire at a deeper level. This is why it's crucial to cultivate self-awareness, to really examine your desires and where they're coming from. For example, you might think you want a specific job or relationship, but what you truly desire is the feeling of fulfillment or love that you believe that job or relationship will bring you. When you recognize this, you open yourself to receiving what you truly want in ways you might not have imagined. This is where trust comes in. Trust that the universe knows the best way to fulfill your desires. Trust that if something doesn't manifest exactly as you imagined, it's because something even better is on its way. Remember, you always get what you want. But sometimes, the universe delivers it in a package you didn't expect. This is why it's important to focus on the essence of your desire, rather than the specific form you think it should take. Now, let's talk about the role of action in this process. Some people mistakenly believe that if they just imagine what they want and feel good about it, they can sit back and wait for it to appear. While it's true that inspired action flows naturally from your assumed state, it's still important to act when you feel prompted to do so. The key is to ensure that your actions are aligned with your assumption. If you're assuming the state of being wealthy, act as a wealthy person would act. If you're assuming the state of being in a loving relationship, act as someone in a loving relationship would act. These actions don't have to be grand gestures. Often they're small shifts in your daily behavior. The way you speak about yourself and your life, the choices you make, the opportunities you say yes or not to. All of these should reflect your new assumed state. But here's the crucial point. Your actions should feel natural and joyful. They shouldn't feel like a struggle or a chore. If they do, it's a sign that you haven't fully embodied your new state and may need to spend more time in your imagination, really feeling the reality of your desire. Now, I want to address something that often comes up when people start applying these principles. They wonder, what about my current reality? How can I assume something to be true when my senses tell me otherwise? This, my friends, is where the real work begins. This is where you must exercise your faith and your power of imagination. You must learn to deny the evidence of your senses and live from your desired state, regardless of what your current circumstances show you. This doesn't mean you ignore your current reality or act irresponsibly. It means you acknowledge your present circumstances while simultaneously holding firm to your new assumption. You live in two worlds at once, the world of physical senses and the world of imagination, knowing that the latter will eventually replace the former. Let me give you an example to illustrate this point. Suppose you're currently in debt, but you desire financial abundance. You wouldn't ignore your bills or pretend the debt doesn't exist. You would continue to manage your current finances responsibly, but at the same time, you would live from the state of financial abundance in your imagination. You feel the relief of having all your debts paid. You would experience the joy of having more than enough money for all your needs and desires. You would feel the security of an abundant bank account. And you would carry these feelings with you throughout your day, even as you're dealing with your current financial situation. This is what it means to live from the end. It's about holding two realities in your mind simultaneously, while emotionally and mentally residing in the reality you desire to experience. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Neville, this sounds like self-deception. Isn't it better to face reality as it is? And to that I say, what is reality? Is it only what your physical senses show you? Or is there a deeper reality? One that exists in the realm of infinite possibilities, waiting to be called forth by your assumption? You see, what you call reality is simply the outpicturing of past assumptions. It's the harvest of seeds you've planted in the past through your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. But at any moment, you have the power to plant new seeds, to make new assumptions, and thus to create a new reality. This is not self-deception. This is understanding the true nature of reality and your role as a co-creator with the universe. This is recognizing that your consciousness is the one and only reality, and that everything in your world is a reflection of that consciousness. Now, I want to address another common concern that arises when people begin to apply these principles. They worry about the time lag between their assumption and its manifestation in the physical world. They wonder, how long will it take for my desire to manifest? My friends, time is a construct of the human mind. In the realm of pure consciousness, where all creation takes place, there's no time. Your desire is fulfilled the moment you assume it to be so. The time it takes to appear in your physical reality depends on many factors, including the naturalness of the desire, your ability to maintain your assumption, and the current conditions of your life. But here's the key. Don't concern yourself with the when or the how. Your job is simply to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and to live from that state. The universe will take care of the details. Trust the process. Know that what you have assumed must come to pass. Remember, creation is finished. All possible realities already exist. When you assume a new state, you're not creating something new. You're simply selecting a different reality from the infinite array of possibilities that already exist. You're tuning your consciousness to a different frequency, so to speak, and thus experiencing a different version of reality. This understanding should free you from anxiety and impatience. There's no need to worry about whether your desire will manifest. It must, for it already exists. Your only task is to align your consciousness with it through your assumption. Now, let's talk about an aspect of this principle that many people overlook. When you truly understand that you always get what you want, that the universe is constantly responding to your assumptions and delivering experiences that match them, how can you not feel profound gratitude? Gratitude is not just a pleasant emotion. It's a powerful creative force. When you feel grateful, you're affirming that you already have what you desire. You're living from the state of fulfillment, of abundance, of your wish realized. And in doing so, you're aligning yourself even more powerfully with that reality. So cultivate an attitude of gratitude. Be thankful, not just for what you already have in your physical reality, but for what you've assumed in your imagination. Feel the gratitude of already being, doing or having what you desire. Let this feeling permeate your entire being. This gratitude will transform your entire experience of life. You'll find yourself appreciating the present moment more fully, even as you're assuming a different state. You'll see the beauty and perfection in all things, recognizing them as expressions of the same divine consciousness that you are. Now, I want to address something that often comes up as people begin to apply these principles successfully. They start to wonder, if I can have anything I want, what should I want? What if I choose the wrong thing? My friends, there are no wrong desires. Every desire that arises within you is an opportunity for growth, for expansion, for a fuller expression of who you truly are. The very fact that you can conceive of something means that it's possible for you to experience it. However, it's worth examining your desires to understand what you truly want at the deepest level. Often what we think we want is just a means to an end. We think we want a specific job, but what we really want is the feeling of fulfillment and purpose that we believe the job will bring. We think we want a particular relationship, but what we really want is the feeling of love and connection. When you recognize this, you open yourself to receiving what you truly want in ways you might not have imagined. You allow the universe to surprise and delight you with its infinite creativity. So instead of focusing on specific forms or outcomes, focus on the essence of what you desire. How do you want to feel? What kind of person do you want to be? What kind of life do you want to live? Assume these states in your imagination and watch as your outer world rearranges itself. Now, as we near the end of our time together, I want to leave you with a challenge. For the next 30 days, choose one desire, something you truly want to experience in your life. It can be anything. A new job, a loving relationship, improved health, a specific sum of money, a particular achievement. Now, every night before you go to sleep, and every morning when you wake up, spend a few minutes imagining that this desire has already been fulfilled. See it clearly in your mind's eye. Feel the emotions you would feel if it were already your reality. Experience the relief, the joy, the excitement of having what you desire. During the day, whenever you think of your desire, remind yourself that it's already yours in your imagination. Feel the gratitude of already having it, live from the state of your wish fulfilled. Don't worry about how it will come about. Don't try to figure out the steps you need to take. Simply live from the end, knowing that the universe will orchestrate the means. At the end of the 30 days, reflect on your experience. Notice any changes in your outer world, but more importantly, notice the changes in your inner world, in your thoughts, your feelings, your overall state of being. You may be amazed at what unfolds. You may find your desire manifesting in ways you never expected. Or you may find that you've changed in profound ways, regardless of whether your specific desire has yet appeared in your physical reality. Remember, the goal is not just to get things or achieve specific outcomes. The goal is to master your own consciousness, to understand and apply the principles that govern the universe, to become a deliberate creator of your life experience. You'll do this, you'll discover a profound truth. You're not separate from the universe. You are not a tiny speck in a vast, indifferent cosmos. You are an individualized expression of the one creative power that underlies all of existence. You are, in essence, the universe experiencing itself through your unique perspective. When you truly grasp this, when you live from this understanding, you'll see that there are no limits to what you can be, do, or have. You'll understand that you always get what you want. Because what you truly want, at the deepest level of your being, is to express and experience more of who you really are. And that, my dear friends, is the greatest adventure of all. It's the journey of self-discovery, of self-expression, of becoming more fully yourself. It's the journey of aligning your individual consciousness with the infinite consciousness of the universe. As you embark on this journey, know that you're not alone. The entire universe is supporting you, guiding you, working through you. Trust this process. Have faith in your own divine nature. Know that you are loved, supported, and infinitely powerful. Remember, you always get what you want. So choose your thoughts wisely. Choose your feelings intentionally. Choose the state of consciousness you wish to embody. For in doing so, you are choosing the life you will experience. Go forth with this knowledge. Apply these principles in your daily life. Watch as your world transforms before your eyes. And know that as you do this, you're not just changing your own life. You're contributing to the evolution of consciousness itself. You're playing your unique part in the grand symphony of creation. Thank you for your attention, for your openness, and for your willingness to explore these profound truths. May your journey be filled with joy, wonder, and the thrill of conscious creation. Remember always, you're the operant power in your world. You are the one who decides what you will experience. You always get what you want. Go now and create the life of your dreams. For it is already yours, waiting for you to step into it. The power is yours. The choice is yours. The life you desire is yours. Claim it. Live it. Thank you. And may your life be a testament to the incredible power of your own consciousness.
The universe is not outside of you. What you see out there, what you experience in your world is nothing more than the outpicturing of your own consciousness. Everything that exists in your world was first born in your imagination. Now let me share a story from my own experience. Several years ago, when I was living in New York, I found myself in what the world would call a difficult situation. Bills were mounting, opportunities seemed scarce, and the external world appeared hostile. But I knew then, as I know now, that what I was experiencing was simply the harvest of my previous mental activity. You see, my dear friends, the secret lies not in fighting against these circumstances, but in completely relaxing into the awareness of who you really are. And who are you? You are God Himself, individualized. You are the operant power of the universe, expressing itself as you. Let us dive deeper into this magnificent truth. When I speak of relaxation, I am not merely talking about physical relaxation, though that is important. I am speaking of a profound mental and spiritual relaxation, a complete surrender to your divine nature. The first principle you must understand is this. Your consciousness, your I amness is God. When you say I am, you are proclaiming the name of God. This is not a metaphor, my dear friends. This is the absolute truth of your being. Now, how does one truly relax and trust the universe? It begins with understanding that what you seek is already yours in the invisible realm of imagination. Whatever you desire, be it wealth, love, health, or success, already exists in what I call the fourth dimension, the dimension of imagination. Let me share with you a technique I have used countless times. I call it the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Before you go to sleep at night, assume the feeling that would be yours if your desire were already realized. Feel the naturalness of having what you want. Feel the relief, the satisfaction, the joy that would be yours. For instance, if you desire financial abundance, do not focus on the lack of money in your current experience. Instead, feel the feeling of financial security. Feel how you would feel if your bank account were overflowing. Feel the satisfaction of paying your bills with ease. Feel the joy of helping others with your abundance. The secret, my dear friends, is to persist in this feeling until it becomes your predominant state. Remember, your outer world must conform to your inner assumptions. This is law. Let me tell you about a lady who attended one of my lectures in Los Angeles. She was struggling with chronic anxiety about her future. She constantly worried about everything that could go wrong. I told her, my dear, you are creating your future with these very worries. Instead, why not imagine lovingly? Why not assume that all is well? I instructed her to spend her evenings just before sleep, feeling the peace and security she desired. I told her to feel it so naturally that it would be impossible to believe otherwise. Within weeks, her entire world transformed. Her anxiety dissolved, opportunities appeared seemingly out of nowhere, and life began to flow effortlessly. You see, when you truly relax and trust, you are acknowledging your own divinity. You are recognizing that the power that created the universe is not separate from you, it is you. Now let me share with you the deeper aspects of trust. Trust is not about believing in an external power. True trust is the absolute conviction that your imagination creates reality. When you imagine something, you are literally creating it on a spiritual level. Your only task then is to remain faithful to your imaginal act. Consider this every morning when you wake up. You trust that the sun will rise. You don't worry about it. You don't try to make it happen. You simply know it will. This is the kind of trust I'm talking about. An absolute knowing that what you have imagined must materialize in your physical world. Let me give you a spiritual exercise that I have found immensely powerful. I call it the Sabbath. Choose a time each day when you can be completely alone and undisturbed. Close your eyes and mentally declare, "Be still and know that I am God." Feel the truth of these words. Feel the power and presence of your own wonderful human imagination. Then, bring to mind your desire, whatever it may be. But here's the crucial part. Don't think of it as something to be achieved in the future. Instead, feel that you already have it. Feel the gratitude, the joy, the completion. Then, rest in this feeling. This is what it means to enter the Sabbath, to rest in the consciousness of your wish fulfilled. Remember, my dear friends, the universe, which is your own wonderful human imagination, operates by law. Just as a seed planted in fertile soil must grow, so must your imaginal acts bear fruit in your physical world. But you must give your seed time to grow. This is where trust becomes essential. After you have planted your seed, after you have assumed the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you must trust the law. Don't dig up your seed to see if it's growing. Trust that the law is working, even when you can't see the evidence with your physical eyes. Let me share another personal experience. Years ago, I desired to become a successful lecturer, sharing these truths with others. Instead of struggling and striving, I would lie in my bed at night and imagine hearing the applause of an audience. I would feel the joy of sharing these principles. I would feel the gratitude of those who understood and applied these truths. I did this night after night, feeling it to be real, feeling it to be natural. I didn't question how it would happen. I didn't worry about the steps needed to make it happen. I simply lived in the end, enjoying the feeling of it being done. And here I stand before you tonight, living proof that the law works. The secret was in completely relaxing into the consciousness of the wish fulfilled and trusting that the law must operate according to my assumption. Now let me address something that many struggle with: the appearance of circumstances that seem to contradict your desire. Remember this: what you see in the outer world is only the shadow of past thoughts and assumptions. It has no power to prevent your new assumption from materializing. When doubts arise, and they will, simply return to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Don't fight the doubts. Don't struggle against them. Simply turn your attention back to the feeling of having what you desire. This is what it means to trust. Think of it this way: when you go to the theater to watch a play, you see various scenes unfold on the stage. Some may be tragic, some may be comic. But you remain relaxed in your seat because you know it's just a play. In the same way, learn to watch the scenes of your life unfold with the same detachment, knowing that your imagination is the author and finisher of your story. The key to relaxation and trust lies in this profound understanding. There is nothing to change but your assumptions about yourself and your world. When you change your assumptions, when you change what you believe to be true about yourself and your world, the outer picture must change to conform to your new assumption. Let me give you a practical technique for maintaining this relaxed state of trust. Throughout your day, whenever you notice yourself becoming tense or worried, pause and ask yourself, what am I imagining right now? You'll find that your tension and worry are always connected to negative imagining. Then, consciously choose to imagine something better. Remember, you are not trying to change the outer world directly. You are changing your inner assumption, and the outer world must follow. This, my dear friends, is the secret of relaxation and trust. It's not about making things happen. It's about assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled and allowing the law to operate in its own perfect way and time. Before we conclude tonight's lecture, let me remind you of these essential truths. You are God individualized as you. Your imagination creates reality. What you assume to be true will harden into fact. The outer world must conform to your inner assumptions. Relaxation and trust are natural when you understand these truths. Go forth tonight and test this law. Choose something you desire to experience. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Feel the naturalness of having what you want. Then relax and trust that what you have assumed must manifest. Let me share with you another personal experience that illustrates this principle beautifully. Many years ago, when I was in Barbados, I met a man who was constantly worried about his business. He would come to me day after day, his face lined with concern, telling me about all the things that could go wrong. I said to him, my friend, do you know what you are doing? You are imagining the very things you fear, and therefore bringing them into your experience. I taught him what I'm teaching you tonight, that relaxation comes from the complete acceptance of your own wonderful human imagination as God. I told him, instead of imagining failure, why not imagine success? Instead of feeling tension about your business, why not feel the satisfaction of a thriving enterprise? You see, my dear wonderful friends, the secret lies in this. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is the secret of creation. When you trust your imagination completely, when you relax into the consciousness of your desire fulfilled, you are exercising your divine creative power. Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. Yet Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. This is not merely a poetic passage from Scripture. It is a profound spiritual truth. The lily doesn't struggle to become a lily. It doesn't strive or worry. It simply unfolds according to its nature. You too must learn to unfold naturally into your desires. This is what true relaxation means. It means knowing with absolute conviction that what you have assumed in your imagination must objectify itself in your world. Let me give you another technique that I have found particularly powerful. I call it the state akin to sleep. Find a comfortable place where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and allow your body to relax completely. Now, in this state of physical relaxation, begin to feel yourself into the scene that would imply your desire is already fulfilled. For instance, if you desire a loving relationship, feel yourself being embraced by your perfect partner. Feel the warmth of their love. Feel the joy of sharing your life with someone who adores you. Make it real in your imagination. Feel it until it feels natural. Remember, my dear friends, you are not trying to make something happen in the future. You are acknowledging what is already true in the eternal now of imagination. This is why trust is so essential. You must trust that what you have imagined is already done. Let me share with you a letter received from a lady in San Francisco. She had been struggling with chronic illness for years. After attending my lectures, she began to apply this principle of relaxation and trust. Instead of fighting against her condition, she would spend time each day feeling the naturalness of perfect health. She wrote to me, Neville, I finally understand what you mean by living in the end. I no longer pray for health. I live from the assumption of being healthy. I no longer beg God for healing. I accept that I am already whole and perfect in my imagination. Within months, her health transformed completely. The doctors were amazed, but she understood the law at work. You see, my dear friends, this is the pattern shown on the mount. This is how creation works. Now, let me address something that many of you struggle with, the time gap between your imaginal act and its physical manifestation. Remember this. Time is not a factor in the fulfillment of your desire. The only time that matters is how long it takes you to feel natural in the state of your wish fulfilled. When you truly relax and trust, you don't concern yourself with when or how. You simply live in the end, knowing that the bridge of incidents will form itself. Your only responsibility is to remain faithful to your imaginal act. Think about this: when you plant a seed in the ground, you don't dig it up every day to see if it's growing. You trust the laws of nature to bring forth your harvest. The same principle applies to your imaginal acts. Once you have planted the seed in your imagination, trust that it must grow. Let me share another technique I call revision. At the end of each day, before you sleep, review the events that didn't go as you would have liked. In your imagination, revise them. See them happening the way you would have preferred. Feel the satisfaction of these revised events. This practice accomplishes two things. First, it prevents unwanted seeds from taking root in your consciousness. Second, it strengthens your ability to consciously create your reality. Remember, my dear friends, the universe is infinitely responsive to your consciousness. It must be, for the universe is nothing more than your own wonderful human imagination pushed out. When you truly understand this, relaxation and trust become your natural state. I want to share with you a profound truth that many miss. The state of relaxation and trust is not something you achieve, it is something you allow. It is your natural state when you recognize your true identity as God individualized. Consider this: does God worry about how things will work out? Does God struggle to make things happen? Of course not. God simply speaks the word, knowing it must be fulfilled. And you, being God individualized, have the same creative power. Let me give you another exercise to deepen your understanding of this truth. Throughout your day, whenever you say "I am," pause and remember that you are speaking the name of God. Feel the power of this awareness. Feel the absoluteness of it. When you say "I am wealthy," you are not making a statement about your current bank balance. You are declaring the truth about your being in the realm of imagination, which is the only reality. My dear friends, the secret of relaxation and trust lies in this complete acceptance of your own divine nature. When you truly know that you are the operant power, all anxiety falls away naturally. Think of it this way: the sun doesn't worry about whether it will shine tomorrow. It simply shines because that is its nature. In the same way, when you accept your divine nature, creation becomes effortless. You create because that is your nature. Let me share one more personal experience. Years ago, when I desired to travel and lecture across the country, I didn't worry about how it would happen. I didn't make endless plans and strategies. Instead, I would lie in my bed at night and feel the satisfaction of speaking to packed auditoriums. I would feel the joy of sharing these truths with eager listeners. I remained faithful to this imaginal act, trusting that the law must work. And here I stand before you tonight, living proof that what you imagine with feeling must objectify itself in your world. Remember this: the outer world is a shadow, a reflection of your inner assumptions. When you change your assumptions, when you change what you believe to be true, the outer world must change to reflect your new consciousness. This is why relaxation is so crucial. When you truly relax, you stop trying to make things happen in the outer world. Instead, you focus on maintaining the feeling of your wish fulfilled in your imagination, knowing that the outer world must conform to your inner assumption. Trust, my dear friends, is not about believing in an external power. Trust is the absolute knowing that your imagination creates reality. It is the conviction that what you have assumed in your imagination must manifest in your physical world. As we conclude tonight's lecture, I want you to take this truth home with you. You are not a helpless being at the mercy of external circumstances. You are God Himself individualized as you, with all the creative power that implies. Tonight, when you return to your homes, choose something you desire to experience. It can be something small or something significant. Then, as you prepare for sleep, assume the feeling that would be yours if your desire were already fulfilled. Fall asleep in this consciousness. Trust that while you sleep, the law is working to bring about the circumstances necessary for the fulfillment of your desire. For remember, man's eyes are blind to the reality of a thing until imagination has brought it into focus. Go now in peace, knowing that you are the author of your own story. Relax into your divine nature and trust in the perfect operation of the law, for this is the truth that sets you free. Remember, the world is yourself pushed out. Therefore, relax completely into the consciousness of your wish fulfilled and watch as your world transforms to match your inner assumption. Thank you and good night. I want you to listen carefully, for the words I speak are not my own, but rather the echoes of an eternal truth that has been whispered throughout the ages. This truth, my dear friends, is that your imagination is the very gateway to the reality you experience. It is the God-given power within you, the creative force that shapes your world. When I say believe you can, and you are halfway there, I am not speaking of a mere mental exercise or a fleeting moment of positive thinking. No, I am referring to a state of consciousness, a profound inner knowing that transcends all doubt and limitation. This belief, this unwavering faith in your desired outcome, is the very substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen in the physical realm. Consider for a moment the implications of this statement. If belief alone can propel you halfway towards your goal, then it stands to reason that the remaining distance is but a matter of allowing that belief to fully manifest in your experience. This is the essence of what I have long taught, that your outer world is nothing more than a reflection of your inner assumptions and beliefs. Let us delve deeper into this concept. When you truly believe you can achieve something, you have already created it in the realm of imagination. And make no mistake, the imagination is not some fanciful playground of idle thoughts. It is the very workshop of creation. It is in this inner world that all things find their origin before they are made manifest in the physical realm. Now, some of you may be thinking, but never have believed in things before, and they did not come to pass. To this I say, examine the nature of your belief. Was it a fleeting hope? A mere wish tossed into the universe, like a penny into a wishing well? Or was it an unshakable knowing, a conviction so strong that you lived from the joy, experiencing the joy and satisfaction of your desire fulfilled even before its physical manifestation? You see, my dear friends, the power of belief lies not in its density, but in its consistency and the feeling it evokes within you. When you truly believe you can accomplish something, you begin to embody the state of the wish fulfilled. You walk, talk, and breathe as though your desire has already been realized. This is not pretense or self-deception. It is the highest form of faith, the kind that moves mountains and parts seas. Let me illustrate this with a simple example. Imagine you desire a new job, one that fills you with purpose and provides outlet. The conventional approach would be to search for openings, send out applications, and hope for the best. But this is not the way of the awakened imagination. Instead, I urge you to assume the feeling of already having this ideal job. As you lay in your bed at night, feel the satisfaction of a day well spent in your new position. Experience the joy of making a difference through your work. Feel the gratitude for the abundant compensation you receive. Live in this state night after night until it becomes your dominant feeling, your new reality. What you are doing in this exercise is far more powerful than any action you could take in the outer world. You are impressing upon your subconscious mind, the faithful servant that brings your assumptions to life, that the reality of your wish fulfilled, and your subconscious being intimately connected with the infinite intelligence that governs the universe will set in motion a series of events to bring about the physical manifestation of your imaginal act. This, my friends, is the true meaning of believe you can, and you are halfway there. Your belief, when it reaches the level of absolute conviction, creates a bridge between your present circumstances and your desired state. It sets the stage for the miracle of manifestation to occur. But let me be clear, this is not about forcing changes in the outer world through sheer willpower. It is about changing your concept of self, your inner conversation, and your dominant feeling state. When you do these, the outer world has no choice but to conform to your new self-concept, for the outer is always a reflection of the inner. Now, some of you may be wondering, but what about action? Surely we must do something to achieve our goals. And to this I say, inspired action will naturally flow from your changed state of consciousness. When you truly believe in the reality of desire, you will find yourself moved to take steps that align with that reality. These actions will not feel like hard work or struggle, but rather like an effortless unfolding of events leading you to your desired end. Remember, the outer world is plastic and receptive to your inner assumptions. It is constantly being shaped and reshaped by the contents of your consciousness. Therefore, the most important work you can do is not in the outer world, but in the inner world of your imagination and beliefs. Let us pause for a moment and reflect on this profound truth. Close your eyes, if you will, and contemplate the goal that burns brightest in your heart. Perhaps it's a loving relationship, financial abundance, perfect health, or a fulfilling career. Whatever it may be, I want you to imagine just for a moment that you have already achieved this goal. Feel the emotions that would accompany this achievement. Experience the joy, the satisfaction, the peace that comes with the realization of your desire. As you sit there, embodying the feeling of your wish fulfilled, know that you are engaging in the highest form of creative prayer. You are declaring to the universe, this is who I am. This is my reality. And the universe, in its infinite wisdom and perfect law, must respond to this declaration. Now open your eyes and carry this feeling with you. Let it infuse your thoughts, your words, and your actions. For in doing so, you are living from the end. And this is the secret to bringing your desires into manifestation. But I caution you, do not be discouraged if you do not see immediate results in the outer world. Remember, you are dealing with the invisible realm of causes, not the visible world of effects. Your task is to remain faithful to your imaginal act, to persist in the assumption that what you desire is already yours. This persistence, this unwavering faith in the face of contrary evidence, is what separates those who master the art of conscious creation from those who remain at the mercy of circumstance. It is to believe when all outer conditions support your belief. But it is in those moments when your senses deny your assumption that your faith is truly tested and strengthened. In the Bible, we find a perfect illustration of this principle in the story of Joshua and the walls of Jericho. For 6 days, Joshua and his army marched around the fortified city, blowing their trumpets, but seeing no change in the impenetrable walls. It would have been easy to doubt, to question the sanity of their actions. But they persisted in their faith. And on the 7th day, the walls came tumbling down. This, my dear friends, is the power of persistent assumption. The walls in your life, whether they be financial limitations, health challenges, or relationship obstacles, are no more real or permanent than the walls of Jericho. They are simply projections of your past assumptions and beliefs. And just as Joshua's persistent faith brought down physical walls, your unwavering belief in your desired state will cause the walls in your life to crumble and fall. But remember, it is not the physical act of marching or blowing trumpets that brings down the walls. It is the inner conviction, the absolute faith that the walls must fall because God has decreed it so. And who is this God that decrees such things? It is own wonderful human imagination, the divine spark within you, that has the power to shape reality itself. Now let us address a common misconception. Many believe that to achieve their goals, they must wrestle with current circumstances, fight against what is, and struggle mightily to effect change. But I tell you, this approach is not only exhausting, but also counterproductive. For in fighting against your current reality, you are giving power, acknowledging its permanence, and thus perpetuating its existence. Instead, I urge you to adopt a different approach. Rather than fighting against what is, simply assume that what you desire to be is already a fact. Live from that assumption and watch as your outer world begins to shift and change to match your inner conviction. This, my friends, is the true meaning of the phrase, the battle is not yours, but God's. The battle is not fought in the outer world of effects, but in the inner world of causes. Your task is not to make things happen, but to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and allow the infinite intelligence within you to bring about its manifestation in ways that you may not even be able to imagine. Let me share with you a personal experience that illustrates this principle. Many years ago, I found myself in dire financial straits. Bills were piling up and opportunities seemed scarce. The temptation to worry and struggle was great. But instead of succumbing to anxiety and frantic action, I chose to apply the principle I am sharing with you today. Each night as I lay in my bed, I assumed the feeling of financial abundance. I felt the joy of paying my bills with ease. I experienced the satisfaction of helping others from my overflow. I lived in my imagination as a man of wealth and generosity. I persisted in this assumption, night after night, regardless of the seeming lack in my outer world. And then, my friends, the miracle unfolded. Within a matter of weeks, opportunities began to present themselves. A forgotten debt was repaid. An unexpected speaking engagement came my way. My financial situation transformed so rapidly and dramatically that those around me were astounded. But I knew the source of this transformation. It was not luck or chance, but the natural result of my changed consciousness. This experience taught me a valuable lesson that our outer world is nothing more than a shadow, a reflection of our inner assumptions. Change the assumption, and the shadow must change. This is the law as exact and unfailing as any law in physics. Now I can hear some of you thinking, but Neville, surely it can't be that simple. There must be more to it than just believing. And to this I say, yes, it is that simple. And no, there is nothing more to it. But simple does not mean easy. The challenge lies not in the complexity of the process, but in your ability to persist in your assumption in the face of contradictory evidence. You see, when you first begin to apply this principle, your senses will rebel. They will shout at you, presenting evidence that seems to contradict your new assumption. This is the moment when many falter, when they abandon their imaginal act and return to their old patterns of thought and belief. But I urge you, my dear friends, to stand firm in these moments. Remember that your senses can only show you the effects of past beliefs and assumptions. They cannot peer into the invisible realm of causes where your new assumption is taking root and beginning to grow. Think of it like planting a seed in the ground. Once you've planted the seed, you don't dig it up every day to check on its progress. You trust in the invisible processes of nature to nurture that seed and bring it to fruition. In the same way, once you've planted the seed of your desire in the fertile soil of your imagination, trust in the invisible processes of creation to bring it to manifestation. This trust, this unwavering faith, is what Jesus referred to when he said, therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. Notice the tense used here, believe that you have received it, not that you will receive it. This is the secret of living from the end, of experiencing the reality of your desire in your imagination before it manifests in the physical world. Now let's delve deeper into the practical application of this principle. How do you cultivate this level of belief, this unwavering faith in your desired outcome? The key lies in your ability to create and sustain a particular feeling state. You see, my friends, your subconscious mind does not understand words in the way your conscious mind does. It responds to feelings, to emotions, to the sensory vividness of your imaginal acts. Therefore, to impress your desire upon your subconscious, you must feel the reality of it with all the intensity you can muster. Let's say, for example, that you desire a loving, harmonious relationship. It's not enough to simply repeat affirmations or visualize scenes of togetherness. You must feel the love, the warmth, the deep connection as though it were already a reality in your life. As you lie in your bed at night, feel the presence of your beloved beside you. Experience the comfort of their embrace, the sound of their loving words, the joy of shared laughter. Make this imaginal act so real, so vivid, that when you open your eyes, you're almost surprised to find yourself alone. This is the level of sensory vividness, of emotional intensity, that impresses your desire upon your subconscious mind and sets the wheels of manifestation in motion. But remember, this is not a one-time exercise. You must return to this state night after night, regardless of what your outer circumstances may be showing you. For it is your persistence, your ability to maintain your assumption in the face of contrary evidence that demonstrates your faith and brings your desire into manifestation. Now, some of you may be wondering, but what if I can't sustain this feeling? What if doubts creep in? My dear friends, doubts are natural. They are the protest of your senses, the habits of your old consciousness asserting themselves. Do not fight these doubts, for in fighting them, you give them power. Instead, gently but firmly return to your asunder. Redirect your attention to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Think of it like training a puppy. When the puppy wanders off, you don't scold it or become frustrated. You simply gently bring it back to where you want it to be. In the same way, when your mind wanders into doubt or negative thinking, gently but firmly bring it back to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. This practice, this constant returning to the state of your wish fulfilled, is what is meant a biblical injunction to pray without ceasing. It doesn't mean to constantly repeat words or petitions, but to maintain a state of consciousness, a feeling state that aligns with your desire. As you practice this, you will find that it becomes easier and more natural. What once required effort will become your default state. You will begin to live from the assumption of your wish fulfilled, and as you do, you will witness the miraculous unfolding of events in your outer world to match your inner conviction. But I caution you, do not become attached to the way in which your desire manifests. Your role is to assume the state of the wish fulfilled. It is not to dictate the means by which it comes about. The infinite intelligence that responds to your assumption knows far better than your conscious mind how to bring your desire into manifestation. Trust in this intelligence. Allow it to work on your behalf. Your job is simply to maintain your assumption, to live from the end, and to be open and receptive to the opportunities and circumstances that will inevitably arise to bridge the gap between your current reality and your desired state. Now let's address another important aspect of this principle. When I say believe you can and you are halfway there, I'm not suggesting that you should believe in your ability to make something happen. Rather, I'm urging you to believe in the present reality of your desire. You see, there's a subtle but crucial difference here. When you believe in your ability to achieve something, you are still placing your desire in the future, still seeing it as something to be attained. But when you believe in the present reality of your desire, you are acknowledging it as an already existing fact, simply awaiting your recognition and acceptance. This shift in perspective is powerful. It moves you from a state of wanting or needing to a state of having and being. And it is from this state of having and being that true creation occurs. Consider the biblical story of creation. God did not say, "Let there be light," and I hope it will come to pass. No, the declaration was clear and absolute: "Let there be light," and light was. This is the model of creation we are called to emulate. We are to declare the reality of our desire with the same absolute certainty, the same unwavering conviction. When you do this, when you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled with complete faith, you are exercising your divine creative power. You are aligning yourself with the very force that created the universe. And that same force will move heaven and earth to bring your assumption into physical manifestation. But remember, my dear friends, with great power comes great responsibility. As you begin to grasp the magnitude of this creative principle, you must also cultivate wisdom and discernment in its use. For just as you can create experiences of joy, abundance, and fulfillment, you can also, through misuse of this power, create experiences of lack, limitation, and suffering. Therefore, I urge you to be mindful of your thoughts, your inner conversations, and most importantly, your habitual feeling states. For these are the seeds from which your future experiences will grow. Plant wisely, tend to your mental garden with care, and you will reap a harvest beyond your wildest dreams. Now let us return to our central theme, believe you can and you are halfway there. As we've explored, this belief is not a mere intellectual assent to a possibility. It is a profound, unshakable knowing, a state of consciousness that aligns you with the creative power of the universe. When you truly believe, when you live from the assumption of yours fulfilled, you set in motion forces beyond your comprehension. You activate a law as certain as gravity, a principle as reliable as the rising and setting of the sun. This law, this principle is that consciousness is the only reality. And what you assume as truly your consciousness must inevitably express itself in your outer world. But here's a crucial point that many miss. The power lies not in the belief itself, but in the feeling that the belief engenders. Your subconscious mind, the faithful servant that brings your assumptions to life, responds not to words or mental images alone, but being associated with those words and images. This is why it's so important to make your imaginal acts as vivid and emotionally life-charged as possible. When you imagine your desire fulfilled, feel the joy, the gratitude, the sense of accomplishment that would accompany its realization. Let these feelings permeate your entire being, for it is these feelings that impress your desire upon your subconscious and set the wheels of manifestation in motion. Now, some of you may be thinking, but Neville, I've tried this before, and it didn't work. To this, I say, examine the nature of your attempt. Did you truly live from the end, consistently maintaining the feeling of your wish fulfilled? Or did you merely engage in periodic visualization or affirmation, all the while holding on to your old beliefs and assumptions? You see, my friends, this principle is not a technique to be applied sporadically. It is a way of life, a fundamental shift in how you relate to reality itself. It requires persistence, patience, and above all, faith. Not blind faith in some external power, but faith in the creative power of your own consciousness. Let me share with you another personal experience that illustrates this point. Many years ago, I found myself in New York, broke and unemployed, longing to return to my home in Barbados. But I had no money for passage, and my family, struggling themselves, could not help me. Instead of succumbing to despair, I applied the principle we're discussing today. Each night as I lay in my bed, I assumed the feeling of being in Barbados. I felt the tropical breeze on my skin, heard the familiar sounds of my homeland, experienced the joy of reuniting with my family. I lived in my imagination as though I were already there. I persisted in this assumption night after night, regardless of my outer circumstances. And then, my friend, the miracle unfolded. Within a matter of weeks, I received a letter from my brother containing the exact amount of money I needed for my passage home. The circumstances that led to this were so unlikely, so unexpected, that to the outside observer, it would have seemed like pure chance or coincidence. But I knew better. I knew that this was the natural, inevitable result of my changed consciousness. By assuming the feeling of my wish fulfilled, I had set in motion a series of events that led to its physical manifestation. This experience taught me a valuable lesson that our outer world is infinitely more malleable, more responsive to our inner state than we have been led to believe. It showed me that when we change our concept of self, when we assume a new state of consciousness, the entire universe conspires to reflect back to us that new self-concept. Now, I want to address a question that often arises when I share these teachings. Many ask, but what about other people? Surely we can't control their actions or decisions. And to this I say, you are not seeking to control others. You are aligning yourself with a state of consciousness in which your desire is already fulfilled. And in doing so, you will find that people and circumstances naturally arrange themselves to match your assumption. You see, other people in your life are not separate from you in the way you might think. In a very real sense, they are playing roles in the drama of your consciousness. As you shift your consciousness, as you assume a new state of being, you will find that others naturally respond in ways that support your new assumption. This is not manipulation or control. It is simply the outworking of a universal law, that your outer world must conform to your inner assumptions. As you change your concept of self, as you live from the state of your wish fulfilled, you will find that the entire world reshapes itself to match your new self-concept. But remember, this principle is not about imposing your will on others or the world around you. It's about aligning yourself with the creative power of the universe, about allowing your desires to manifest in harmony with the highest good of all concerned. When you operate from this level of consciousness, you'll find that your manifestations unfold in ways that are often far more wonderful than you could have imagined or planned. Now let us delve even deeper into the practical application of this principle. How do you maintain your assumption, your belief, in the face of contrary evidence? How do you persist when your senses scream that what you're assuming isn't true? The key, my dear friends, lies in understanding the nature of time. You see, time as we experience it in the physical world is an illusion. In the realm of consciousness, in the world of imagination, all possibilities exist simultaneously. The state you desire to experience is not something in the future. It exists now in this eternal present moment. Your task is simply to shift your consciousness to align with that state. Think of it like tuning a radio. All stations are broadcasting simultaneously, but you can only hear the one to which your radio is tuned. In the same way, all possible states of being are available to you right now. By assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are tuning your consciousness to the frequency of desire. But here's the crucial point: you must stay tuned to that frequency. You must persist in your assumption, regardless of what your senses or your current circumstances are telling you. This persistence, this unwavering faith is what bridges the gap between your current reality and your desired state. Now, I can hear some of you thinking, but Neville, this sounds like self-deception. Aren't we just fooling ourselves? To this I say, what you call self-deception is actually the highest form of truth. For in assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are isling yourself a reality that already exists in the realm of infinite possibilities. Remember, your current reality is nothing more than the outpicturing of your past assumptions and beliefs. It has no more permanence or reality than the state you desire to experience. The only difference is that you're giving the power of your belief far beyond the pontificate. But the moment you shift your belief, the moment you begin to live from the assumption of your wish fulfilled, you set in motion a new sequence of events. You activate a new pattern of manifestation. And if you persist in this new assumption, it must inevitably express itself in your outer world. This, my friends, is the true meaning of faith. It is not blind belief in something unseen. It is the evidence of things not seen, the substance of things hoped for. When you have true faith, when you live from the state of your wish fulfilled, you are not hoping for something to happen in the future. You are acknowledging a reality that already exists, and allowing it to express itself in your experience. Now let me address another common concern. Many ask, what if my desire does manifest immediately? What if I don't see results right away? To this I say patience, my dear friends. Remember, you are dealing with the invisible realm of causes, not the visible world of effects. When a farmer plants a seed, he doesn't dig it up every day to check on its progress. He trusts in the invisible processes of nature to nurture that seed and bring it to fruition. In the same way, once you've planted the seed of your desire in the fire of soil imagination, trust in the invisible processes of creation to bring it to manifestation. Your outer world may not change overnight, but I assure you, the moment you assume a new state of consciousness, things begin to shift. Opportunities arise, circumstances align, people enter your life, all in service of bringing your assumption into physical reality. Your task is simply to persist in your assumption, to maintain the feeling of your wish fulfilled, regardless of appearances, for it is your persistence that demonstrates your faith, and it is your faith that moves mountains. Let me share with you one final thought on this subject. The phrase, believe you can and you are halfway there, implies a journey, a process of becoming. But I want you to understand that in the realm of imagination, in the world of consciousness, there is no journey. There is only being. When you truly believe, when you fully assume the state of your wish fulfilled, you are not halfway there. You are already there. The outer manifestation of your desire is simply the shadow catching up to the substance of your belief. This understanding liberates you from anxiety, from the constant striving and struggling that characterizes so much of human existence. It allows you to rest in the assurance that what you desire is already yours, already a fact in the realm of consciousness, simply awaiting your recognition and acceptance. So, my dear friends, as we conclude this discourse, I urge you to take these words to heart. Understand that you are not a helpless victim of circumstances, but a powerful creator, shaping your reality through the power of your assumptions and beliefs. Believe you can, yes, but more than that, believe you are. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Live from that assumption. Persist in that state of consciousness, regardless of appearances. And watch as the miracle of manifestation unfolds in your life. Remember, the world is yourself pushed out. What you see and experience is nothing more than the reflection of your own consciousness. Change your consciousness and you change your world. Go forth now armed with this knowledge, this understanding of your true creative power. Apply these principles in your life. Test them, prove them to yourself. For in doing so, you will discover the truth of who you really are. A divine being created in the image and likeness of God, with the power to shape your reality according to your highest ideas, thy deepest desires. Believe you can, and you are not just halfway there, you are already there, in the realm of pure potential, pure creativity. Your task now is simply to allow that inner reality to express itself in your outer world. Go in peace, go with power, go with the absolute assurance that what you desire is already yours. For in truth, it always has been. You need only to awaken to this reality and claim your divine inheritance. Thank you. And may your life be a living testimony to the creative power that resides within you.